Hey, um, I'm just riffing. I'm not gonna edit this at all. So, it's just gonna be authentically me talking to the camera. Um, kind you know, talking about psychedelics, my views on them, my experiences with them, what I think about the culture, where I think it's going, maybe. Just my opinion. Um, my introduction to psychoactive drugs was when I was 15, and I was living at my mom's house, and I remember watching a documentary called The Union, The Business Behind Getting High. It was a whole documentary, kind of outdated at this point, but considering the vast legalization in the United States and such, um, that's besides the point. Um, I had these experiences with, you know, cannabis starting at 15 to 18. 18 is when I started with the LSD, but I'll get into that later. Um, anyway, at the start, yeah, cannabis was really fun. I mean, it really gave me a new perspective on things, kind of, you know, just, you know, especially the first couple years of smoking cannabis, I find that it's quite psychedelic, and people don't, I think, maybe appreciate that part of it as much. Maybe because they've been smoking for so long and they just don't remember really what the psychedelic part was. It's hard for me to really shake my views on that. I think with things like cannabis and LSD, mushrooms, if you're not spiritually inclined, they probably will push you to be more. And if you're already spiritually inclined, they may already confirm preconceived notions of what you think or don't think about reality and subjectivity and stuff like that. Um, I can even document one case where I was smoking with friends a blunt, and then I walked away from the group to watch a movie. Um, didn't really give much thought to it. Just was watching my favorite movie, Spring Breakers, and I think it was just so spontaneous the moment that I think I came in contact with a deity, almost like what you would see on like DMT or something. And that's the interesting thing about these things is that back then I wasn't doing DMT, but I was still having some flashes of like DMT like experiences, like maybe I'm gonna be jumping back and forth, but maybe fast forwarding to 2018 when I was 19, with AL-LAD. It was very sensual at the start, but as you increase the dose, it does get more aggressive, especially if you mix it with like cannabis or some other hallucinogen in that regard. What else can I say? Oh yeah, maybe jumping back to 2017 with LSD, which was my first like what people regard as true psychedelic, but I think had pretty powerful hallucinations from cannabis alone. I am diagnosed schizophrenic, so I may have more proclivity to be pushed in creative or irrational ways of thinking. Maybe not irrational, but maybe out the box thinking, if that makes sense. Um, Mushrooms. Let's jump to mushrooms. I didn't really structure this at all that well, but mushrooms, they're more it is a shorter trip than LSD, but it's more murky. It's hard to like um I think drive the experience as much as you would with LSD, or maybe want to have control over what it what you want the outcome to be. It's more something you really do have to surrender to more. Mushrooms are definitely more Gaian, more earthy, more, and some people consider it more natural. My opinion is that like once you take even if it's synthetic, there's a whole debate on this, but even if it's synthetic, you're still ingesting it into a organism, a human, that is organically interacting with that. It is somewhat, yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but guess my final thoughts. I don't exactly regret it because in that time, I think I had the opportunity to at least explore this class of drugs in a pretty thorough way, and I think I got pretty satisfying, fulfilling experiences with them. I think it's more of a debate, like, what do you do after the psychedelic is over? What do you do after the psychedelic's over? Because that's ultimately not sustainable to just keep taking psychedelics all the time, especially strong psychedelics, like stronger than cannabis in regards to what do you do after? That's a good question. I do have hobbies like guitar and bowling, mainly bowling now, but I guess it's not as much of a in-depth creative avenue. I kind of into clothing a little bit, but I'm not sure. I mean, I've never really been a painter or drawer or anything like that. I think a lot of times, sometimes, like finding your own identity after psychedelics, or that psychedelic phase wears off, because I think it is a phase. I don't think it's sustainable ultimately. You might do some damage if you keep doing that regularly. Maybe not damage that could be like measured in qualitative, like, oh, I do a brain scan of your brain and we see holes. Not like that, but it can, you know, maybe certain like mental capacities. I have absolutely no intention of ever doing psychedelics ever again. And I think I want to keep it that way. I don't even need to keep it that way. I just have no desire to really do that stuff again. It would, back then, I think the world was a bit more quieter, a bit more. This is like pre-COVID, so of course, that's a contribution, but, I don't know. I don't want to keep this video longer than it has to. My final thoughts is they're interesting. They're very interesting things. I don't really believe in like a Christian or ideological God in that way. I think there's some arguments in nature that nature, can maybe have some ailments or secrets. I do believe in that stuff a little bit, like nature science. Paganism seems pretty interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's end it at that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. This is my only video.